Hi, this is Charlotte Cordell, and this video is about how science works. Now, if you think about it, science is in our everyday lives, so we can use this throughout it. So this video started off by talking about the Troglodyte spider. They found it in a cave and thought it was just a common spider, but decided to send it off anyways because they didn't recognize it. It was sent to a lab in California for further analysis, and they realized it was a new species and a new member of the goblin spiders. Now keep in mind that science is never ending. It never concludes. There's always more you can do with that information, which they did do at the end of this video as well. So instead of using our typical charts that we use in science, they decided to make a flow chart instead to better explain how science works, and they used the spider as a form of representation of how the process goes. Now keep in mind, it can start anywhere in this flow chart. It can start with the hypothesis, observations, talking to colleagues, sending it to other scientists, a bunch of trial and error, having discussions with colleagues, making hundreds of hypotheses even though your first one was wrong, and getting feedback and peer review by doing a case study on this. This flow chart is more like a pinball machine. It doesn't start at a certain point. But at this point, it did start with asking questions, and this was originally started by Tracy Audicio. She observed this spider for about 2 hours, couldn't figure out what it was, so she sent it off to Charles Griswold. He decided to start with his own observations, making hypotheses and things like that. So he thought it was a brown recluse, but the details of the anatomy did not add up. The eyes were in the wrong place, the jaws were wrong, and the legs were different. And the spinning organs were wrong as well. So this was a trial and error. So instead of giving up, he decided, okay, let's share it with other people. They started sharing the ideas, exploring the literature. It didn't fit anything. Compared the new spider to descriptions of all the families to try to place it where it needs to be. They consulted books on fossil spiders, and then researchers made hypotheses of what the spider was and what it wasn't. It's not only what it is, but you also have to exit out what it wasn't. So Charles looked at collections of other spiders to rule out what they could be. The more they looked, the more they realized the details were incorrect for any spider known to humans. So they decided, okay, we're going to have discussions with colleagues and present this case. They presented this case with all their evidence, the conclusion they had made, and more. And then word came back that no one had seen this thing before, and they were correct. So they made it a hypothesis that it was a new family member related to the goblin spider. To suggest a new spider was a huge deal for this community, and it took very, very huge guts to do this. It doesn't happen very often. But the last time this happened in North America alone was 100 years ago. So they were in shock that it happened again in just a simple cave. So they decided to write a publication and get feedback and peer review on this. They sent the papers and conclusions to anonymous scientists who also agreed that they did a good job and this was correct. At Academy, they decided to push it one step further. They decided, okay, we're going to look at this major group of spiders and figure out what the differences are, how they're alike, and more like that. They want to understand the evolution of the goblin spiders and how they changed from generation to generation, and as each family member changed. They start asking more questions, making more hypotheses, making more observations. They did even more testing on Troglodyte, which they found out it has a surprising respiratory system that they've never seen before. So they continued this, and they figured out it has these very unique claws where it got its name from, which I found that interesting. The fact that they found claws that they thought were unique, being huge scientists like this. So they continued on, and they're still doing this research to this day about the goblin spiders and the evolution of each family member. But you have to keep in mind, like I said at the beginning, this process is true in everyday life. You communicate with other people, other peers, other students in classes. Like in my math class, we have study groups. We have to confer with each other to get the correct answers on stuff. Otherwise, we won't pass the class. We ask questions every single day, not just in a science class. If this happens, what will it do to this? It's not just, oh, we get in the science classroom, and we're now scientists. You're a scientist every single day, and anyone can do it. Thank you.